Oh, good morning, guys. Good morning, Wolfpack. It is so good to be back in this studio. Got back pretty early this morning. And it's weird to be back. It's good to be back. And I wanted to get back today. I wanted to stay, but also the story of what's going on there has to be told. And so I want to tell you guys that story about what's going on with Hurricane Helene, and probably the greatest war story that's never been told. And I want to tell it to you guys. Today's show brought to you by ghostbed.com and factormeals.com/Wolfpack50. Take it away, Josh.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on Sunday.
This is about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Guns up, giddy up, guys. Love to see everybody in the chats. Nishkin, David J, Abby, Reginald Rutherford. What's up, guys? Appreciate everybody being up. Will Cray, thank you guys for being all in the live chats. Hydroman Blue, good morning. Good morning. Man, it has been a wild 2 weeks. It's good to be back in the studio. It's good to be back at the house. And I don't know. I don't know how today's show is going to go, guys. I don't know how it's going to go. I just want to tell you guys what's going on and tell you the story. Probably going to be a little emotional. Not sure if that's just from lack of sleep or maybe it just warrants emotions. I don't know. But I will say that all of your messages, when we had internet service, all of your messages, all of your Cash Apps, your Venmos, the fact that Wolfpack members drove from Ohio to spend less than 48 hours and absolutely worked their asses off with us means the world to me. And I wanted to say personally, thank you guys so much. That's part of the story, right? That's part of the story. That's part of the family and the brotherhood. But I wanted to tell you kind of what I've experienced in the last couple of weeks here. And I want to tell the greatest war story that's probably never been told. So without further ado, Armory Knight says Eric is alive. He's alive. Barely. Really tired. I got scratched in the eyeball a couple of days ago. Got a scratched cornea. Luckily, the PJs and 18 Delta medics were able to put some steroids in there and prescription stuff in my eye so we could keep going. I even had like a little patch that I wore underneath my sunglasses to help keep going. So guys, a lot of people say that they reached out and I haven't responded to them yet. There's no internet, no service out there. Even with our Starlink, it was hard to get out. So pretty much was able to make phone calls real early in the morning, really late at night. And then other than that, my phone was dead a lot too. I had no cell phone power. So trying to navigate and use GPS, drain the phone. And then some nights we weren't back at a camp or anything like that, so we couldn't charge our phones. But I want to just kind of tell you guys what's been going on. So after I got back last week and doing just like the initial disaster relief stuff, and it was high pace and everybody was motivated and there was a lot going on. I think you guys all saw it on social media that there was no government assistance. There was a lack of government assistance and people were really angry. I drove hundreds of miles. I went to all of the hardest hit areas and just town after town. People were telling us, you were the first people we've seen in 4 days. I even talked to cops. I was like, where's everybody at? Where is everybody? Like I've been standing by this sinkhole because if I don't, people will try to go around my car and literally fall into the thing. So I cannot leave. I have been here for 24 plus hours in my car and there's nobody coming. Like we only have like 2 cops in this town and nobody's here. And so that was the first week. And then I came home to kind of refit and regroup last Saturday and have my son's birthday. And then I got a call from another one of my buddies. And I want to tell this story. And so there are foundations, you guys know, Save Our Allies with Tim Kennedy, Sentinel Foundation. And so I got a call from Sentinel Foundation. And these are guys who are special operations veterans. A lot of them are tier 1 Delta Force guys that have been kind of where the government, I don't want to put words in their mouths, but I've been with them for over a week now. And where the government has decided to abandon our own, after things like Benghazi, even things going far back as Somalia, but more recently, the Afghanistan pullout, Ukraine, the things that happen with our interpreters, these veterans who have operated in a combat capacity for 20 plus years, they feel abandoned by their government. Let that sink in. These guys feel that they were bamboozled, my word of the day, and they were scarred from the government taking advantage of them and their patriotism, playing with their emotions. It reminds me of that movie Shooter. Very reminiscent of that movie, actually. Scary. And so these special operations guys who are very patriotic, but also very spiritual, and they are family men, and they're not quitters, they formed NGOs. And so after 9/11, right, special operations became very sexy. The shadows were lifted. The bearded men and the guys with the cool guy backwards hats and the shirts and the big strong muscles and large guns, they were kind of became legend, and everybody became aware of their capabilities in a wartime situation. Books, documentaries. Well, now those guys haven't changed, but one thing that I think a lot of people missed was that these guys are, yes, warriors, and the most elite of warriors who have been tried and tested and put into real world situations. They're also family men and very spiritual men. And they realized very quickly that the set of skills they acquired from the last 20 years at war could be put to use for the people who really need it, to thwart the government's bad intentions, their ill will, to thwart the government's bureaucratic red tape, to thwart government wars, to line their own pockets. These guys started their own non-government organizations, and that is the new shadow ops. That's the new shadow world that people aren't aware of. These NGOs, these non-government organizations like Save Our Allies, like Sentinel Foundation, these guys are behind the scenes rescuing children, exploited and missing children from around the world. One of my friends was actually shot in the chest and out the neck on a child rescue in Colombia. These guys go into Ukraine and pulling out our allies over there and setting up sustainable and operations over there to help the people in need, the victims of the war. These guys are going into places like Israel. They are even going into Syria, getting out our allies. You heard the stories of Afghanistan, of them crawling through the tunnels and rescuing people. And so when the government decided, or when everybody was like, where is the government? Me included, I didn't see any National Guardsmen. I didn't see any FEMA. And I got backlash. We're there. I didn't see you, man. I didn't fucking see you. Where were you? I have driven hundreds of miles. I have camped out everywhere. I've been in helicopters flying over, and I didn't see you. Now, I'm sure I saw like maybe one or two driving down the road. I saw a couple changing their tires on the major highway. I saw some in these driving forklifts in these big giant hangars, but where the National Guard's not on the ground. And that's not a shot at National Guard soldiers, because I know you guys want to be there doing the right thing. I know you do. Then I hear stories firsthand stories where Kamala Harris flies in and has the National Guard load up an airplane for a photo op, and the airplane doesn't fly away with the goods. So where these stories are coming out, and they're not fake information, that's not misinformation, disinformation, because I was there. These NGOs stepped up, and they didn't just step up, but let me tell you what they did. So these special operators, these men who have spent 20 plus years in combat with all of these amazing skills, they acquired an airfield, multiple airfields. The one I was at was in Banner Elk, working with Sentinel Foundation. These men, Delta Force operators and Green Berets, got an airfield. They got JTACs, combat controllers, air traffic controllers, volunteers. Some of them were getting equipment that may not have been accounted for. They borrowed their own equipment at the risk of getting in trouble, some of them. They established the airfield and they established air operations. A Vietnam helicopter pilot from Ohio flew in his helicopter to drop in supplies and things. Little Birds, pilots like from Paraclete and these other guys donating their helicopters in time were brought to the airfield. Pararescue men volunteered. They hear about it. They showed up. PJs, 18 Delta Special Forces medics, SOCM medics, Marine Corps medics. They established a medical station where they started gathering medical supplies in their section, insulin, prescriptions. They had PAs on site. They had all volunteers, by the way. Some of these guys not signing for stuff, knowing that, like saying, like, this could get bad for us. We got to get a hold of this. We got to get organized. And so they got PAs and real doctors, and they got guys, and they set up tables, laptops, and computers to start getting things documented and noting, signing things out. Again, with no supervision. There was a retired command sergeant major that showed up, and they were like, "You're a retired command sergeant major?" And he's like, "I've been out of the game for a long time." They're like, "Not anymore. You're the command sergeant major today. Welcome to the fucking team, dude." And this guy was like, okay. And he went, put on a sergeant major hat. And this guy got to it. I need a motor pool over here. I need to get a roll call over here. Morning briefings every morning at 8 and 9 p.m. Everybody's mandatory that you be there. They ended up having community outreach teams. Civil affairs dudes started volunteering from Fort Bragg. Hey, I'm civil affairs. I've got a specialty in talking to people. They're like, great. You guys go ahead, get out in those trucks right there, get out into town. Here's the map. Start seeing what the community needs. Report back to us. All of a sudden, they build a tactical operations center ran by some Delta Force dudes. They got laptops, spreadsheets, maps, graphics. 7th group Green Beret, retired, shows up with flat screen TVs that I think he might have taken out of his own house because they weren't new and they weren't in boxes. And they start setting all this up. Coast Guard rescue swimmers show up. Hey, man, where do we go? Cut teams show up. Tactical 5th Special Forces group guys volunteered. At one point, one night, a bunch of bearded, long-haired dudes that I can only imagine were some kind of a Delta Force special operations team showed up, said, "Sorry, boys, we're late. We just got back from Ukraine. We tried to get here as fast as you can. Where do you need us?" What? Blown away. We started every morning with a prayer. We ended every night with a prayer. And it was insane. Immediately, they started launching search and recovery teams, rescuing people out of houses, sending PJs and corpsmen out to houses to deliver insulin, to get people prescription meds, oxygen tanks. They were flying to hospitals, picking up goods. Hospitals that ran out of insulin, they would fly from one hospital, pick up the insulin, fly to the next one, running almost 105 air operations per day. I think at one day, at the highest day, they ran like over 150 airborne operations, JTACs, combat controllers for 12 hours a day, 12-hour shifts out on the runway, full kit and radios. They didn't have to be told to put their helmets on. They didn't have to be told to have the gear that they need. They just showed up with it. And they're out there directing planes, guiding planes in, shuffling planes around. All of a sudden, one of my favorite stories is that we were out all day on search and recovery of a missing family of 5 that swept away in a trailer. And we talked to the sister, and you hear these stories and you have to help. And so we had search and recovery teams to go out and find the debris field, but it was down rapids. down rapids. So we had whitewater rafting crews. We had Marine Corps raiders on one side of the river. We had fifth special groups on the other side of the river. We had Air Force guys flying, not drones, but the little mini drones, whatever you call them. They had FLIR. They had guys doing turbo FLIR. We had dog teams out on the ground, and we're talking miles, 9+ miles from where this trailer disappeared to where the frame was at a bridge. And again, this is in a gorge with rapids. And so guys with helmets, all these special forces guys, all of these guys from all walks of life gathered up with volunteers for fire departments. Let me show you some pictures here to kind of give you a kind of take. I'm sorry, here we go. Boat crews. I thought I had some more. I apologize. Here, let me give you a little quick picture of the air traffic control teams doing their things. This was our command center, by the way. These are all elite operations. Look at this operation center. They just took this airfield over. They got permission. They donated it, the Banner Elk River airfield, and these guys just got to work. They've got a med station back in the corner. It was just absolutely incredible. And so this is one of the Wolfpack members that came by him, Jake. I know he doesn't want me to say his name, but he came all the way from Ohio with a team of guys that he put together. And they were out on search and recovery for us. But going back to the story, so these guys are navigating rapids, rock climbing, trying to find bodies, which they did recover bodies, and other parts. And of course, along the way, these humanitarian efforts where you would walk up on other people that needed help. And so all these guys in conglomerate working all day. This is my favorite part of the story. Just walking miles and then camping out on the lake, setting up an ops center, camping out. And then going out all the next day. And then when they got back, we all got back to the hangar after working, pretty much almost 48 hours. A truck rolled in, and not one dude, not one guy said a word. They saw a truck back in. It wasn't Samaritan's Purse volunteers. It wasn't Boy Scout volunteers. They had already left for the day. This is like 9 p.m. Every one of those men, without being told, walked over to the truck in the direction of the truck, right? They're walking off the airfield, trying to find their cots to go to sleep at night or finding some hot chow. This truck backs in. Everybody, without being told, all of a sudden just starts rotating towards the truck. One guy opens the truck and gets up on it. Again, these are the most elite soldiers in the world. And they begin unloading the truck. Not a word said. Everybody's tired, wet, cold. They're just shoveling stuff down. That night at the briefing, Lieutenant Colonel from SOCOM, I believe he was a Lieutenant Colonel. Nobody's wearing rank. These are all volunteers, so it's hard to tell. But he got up and he said, everybody knew who this guy was, obviously a legend. And he got up and he said, guys, I've been in special operations for 30 plus years, running ops with you guys. And he said, we all work together. I've worked with a lot of you in a lot of capacities, doing a lot of crazy things and killing a lot of crazy people, whatever. And he said, but gentlemen, there are operations that you will never forget and that will stay with you the rest of your lives. And he said that this was one of the most important and powerful missions he ever did. And he was proud to be a part of it. And there wasn't a dry eye in that room. It was incredible. Terry, the Vietnam veteran, God, he's got to be like 70 years old. I think I have a picture of him here. Volunteered his aircraft. He's from First Cav, flown Vietnam. I don't know how many missions Terry flew, but Terry was in the air every single day. Still is. He's still there. I don't know where Terry's sleeping. I can't imagine this guy's still crashing on a cot. I hope they got him a cabin that was donated or something. This is like a 70-something-year-old man flying ops in and out. We were flying down a canyon, and we're trying to find an access point to drop off some cadaver dogs and to start our search so we didn't have to walk in miles again. And as we're going, all of a sudden, Terry banks it up, throws the thing sideways, climbs straight up, and there were power lines running across the section of river unmarked. And, the fact that this man saw him, I didn't even see him. And I mean, we were within feet of devastation. It would have been terrible. It would have been catastrophic. We'd be dead in a canyon. And old Terry was backing it up. We were all yelling, "Back it up, Terry! Put it in reverse!" And we all laughed. And he was like, "Boys, that one scared me. That was, this is a Vietnam veteran that's seen it all." And he's still putting it all out on the line from Ohio to help out his fellow kind men. This is the greatest war story never told. I every day, these bearded special operations guys, guns on their hips, radios everywhere, all the things. Every night I saw them tear up as they told stories, delivering toys or getting, I think there was one story that they were telling one of the females that was a special operations medic, that a woman had not been able, she had a temporary stent and catheter put in before her surgery. She can't go to surgery. She's been trapped for over 12 weeks or 2 weeks, and her catheter's full, and the stents are in her back are starting to get infected. And so very emotional to put her on a helicopter and fly her somewhere to get her medical. I mean, just all these crazy stories linking up with local rescue teams to help out. I worked with a canine handler all day yesterday, Miss Lisa. I think her name is Lisa Briggs. Worked all day, worked her dogs all day to find a missing family member. And we were with the boyfriend and his girlfriend's mom and dad were swept away. Their last 911 call was, "The water's up to our knees. We need help." And nobody was coming, and their trailer was swept away. We found the frame in the debris field, as we had done several times in the last 2 weeks. And, we began looking for the remains of these folks. And so she worked all day, and the local sheriff said, "I'm calling it." And she said, "We have a couple more piles down that way." And he said, "You have a couple of piles for the next 100 miles. And if we keep doing this, we're never going to get anywhere." And he called it. And there were some people that were mad. People were upset. Like, how could the sheriff do that? How could the sheriff just say, "We're done. We only spent a day, and there's 2 piles right there. We could come back tomorrow and pick up where we left off"? But he's right. He wasn't wrong. I don't know how many people are missing because the media is lying. The county that I was working in trying to find those 2 bodies yesterday, they're confirmed missing, and they're confirmed now. We found both of their vehicles completely submerged, flipped over in the creeks. They weren't in them. The only other place they could be was in the house that they called 911 from. And if they were in those cars, they're not in those cars anymore, and it's been 2 weeks. But they said there's only 1 dead in that county. Well, I know that's not true because I was looking for 2 that are definitely dead in that county. So I don't know if they're just counting it as missing and they don't add it to the death count. I don't know how that works. I'm not saying it's nefarious, but what I'm saying is I don't understand how it works. But I don't know how many people are missing, but I will tell you this. Every single person I talked to in the last week, 2 weeks, has a story about friends and family that they knew were swept away. And I've cried. Well, I didn't cry because I'm a man, but I've watched people cry. I watched, there's an older woman that her house is 2-story. This entire trailer park is gone. Nobody thought that the water could come that high. The entire trailer park gone. And all the people that stayed, gone. And she cried. She said she was sitting up in the hill in her nice house, looking down from the balcony as these houses were being swept off of their foundations. And she could hear them screaming as they came by her house, and there's nothing she could do. And she'd been crying for 2 weeks straight up there. Talked to another man named Dale. Dale, during the hurricane, saw the same thing. He was on the other side of the creek, up the hill, watching this trailer park and the screams of the humans coming down. And he and his son, Dale's an old man. I've got a beautiful picture. It's on Ed Burgess Photography because Ed was with us doing some journalism. But even Ed, the journalist, didn't pick up his camera until like day 10. He just worked. I mean, he did everything and didn't take any pictures. Didn't do any journalism. And I asked him, I was like, "Dude, aren't you here to like take pictures?" He says, "I can't." There's no time to take pictures. There's too much work that needs to be done. And he's like, I can't take pictures while everybody's working like this. And this guy's still there. This journalist, this older guy, still there, sleeping in his car, sleeping on the same porch as I am, older than me, still there. But anyway, he did get a picture of old Dale, and he told Dale's story. And if you can find it, really quick, Ted, like that'd be great. It's on Ed Burgess Photography, EDDEBURGESS, BURGESS. But Dale saw the trees coming down, and him and his son put on waders and got out in the water chest deep up the hill and tried to stop trees as they were coming down. And they were trying to cut them with their chainsaw in pieces, because he said if these big trees come behind them, it is just going to kill everyone downstream. And so they were lassoing these things and trying to wrap them around trees, sometimes getting snatched up underneath the water by these trees. And we were like, and he was showing us some of the trees that they got. These were like real legit trees. Could you imagine this old dude trying to stop trees because he's afraid? There was another man who actually jumped into the river without a canoe with a life jacket and swam out and just grabbed onto this woman. And I think he said, I just couldn't watch him die. It's a viral video now. You can see the viral video of it. But everywhere we go, we're talking to people like this. And there isn't any government out there. We saw National Guard yesterday cleaning out a campground and cleaning up a church. Whose church? I don't know. Why do you choose that church to clean up? I don't know. I don't have those answers. Not saying it's nefarious, but I don't know, man. Like I feel like there's more important stuff that the National Guard soldiers could be doing than cleaning up a church. There's cops out there who have been directing traffic. We saw state troopers directing traffic to road closes, and they were there from the minute we got there in the morning until we got back. That's Terry, the Vietnam veteran, who's been flying night and day ops. I don't know how old this guy is. It looks like he's dead yesterday, to be honest with you. I'll tell you what, I would not get in a car with Joe Biden. These guys are probably the same age. I would fly anywhere with Terry in any situation. Selfless servants. Actually, here's a picture of Ed, the journalist. This is a picture where Ed and our navigator, little Daniel, who leaves for basic training in a week, volunteered to come out here with us and worked his ass off. And he became our navigator. He graduated the military academy, and he ended up being so pivotal to navigating troops on the ground and trying to tell us like which routes we could get into, which routes we couldn't. He was a master at the map, following the rivers. Actually, here's a great picture of him here too. Let me remove this. There he is. There's little Daniel about to leave for basic training in a few weeks. But that was him all week. And just, he never whined. He never once complained. Just a wonderful. Yes. Here's the picture of Dale. This is Dale. This is the man. See the trees behind him? These are trees that he was stopping. Him and his son were trying to stop going down the river, trying to throw like big giant picks and trying to drag them up the hill and trying to just slow him down in any way he can. And his son just like trying to chop him into small pieces. He didn't know what else to do. Dale has looked like that. He's been bathing in the creek. We were some of the first people that made it up the hill to talk to him in 2 weeks. Didn't give a shit. Wasn't tired. Wasn't weary. And just, he cried a lot to us, telling us the stories, that hearing the neighbors down the creek screaming in terror as their campers were filled with water and washed away. And guys, this is hundreds of miles. Go back to that clip there. Deadleg, I'd like to show this clip. Go ahead, put that up on the screen. Yeah, here was working a section of the river. We were with the wife and the whatever family members looking for their bodies, and we saw this American flag. There's some of the guys talking about what we were looking for. Oh gosh, take that one off. Yeah, we found a bag of dicks, and I know it's dark times, but I mean, you can't not laugh at a bag of dicks. We're at the end of the day, we're all veterans, right? We can all appreciate a bag of dicks, right? But I'll tell you this. Let me go on this one. At one point, we thought about putting a dildo on a helmet or one of our recovery vehicles, and we were mature enough to say, now's not the time, not the place. We didn't need an E7, an E8. We didn't need a sergeant. We didn't need somebody to tell us that wasn't appropriate. We just didn't do it. And that fucking means a lot. And if you're in the military, you understand that that's fucking maturity and growth. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? It's fucking awesome. Today's show is brought to you by ghostbed.com. I traveled with my ghost bed pillow. Unfortunately, Daddy's ghost bed pillow, probably going to retire this one. Kind of gross. And you can't, I don't even think it's worth washing the ghost bed pillow tonight. So fine. I'm not worried about it, but it saved my life. It was just that one little piece of comfort, sleeping on people's porches and wooden floors. My back is killing me. My neck is killing me, as is everybody. So I'm not bitching. Listen, I worked with some incredible dudes and I was just trying to keep up with them. They're the studs. They're the real heroes. And I was proud to just be invited to be a part of it and help where I could. And so I'm just extremely blessed. But I thank you so much to ghostbed.com/Wolfpack and support those who support us, guys. I could not have gone a whole week. Like whatever employer would let you go away for a week and not and you didn't actually work, right? Like I went out and volunteered for 2 weeks, and you guys suffered for that, and I'm sorry, but I appreciate your patience. But Ghostbed never even hit us up yet. They haven't hit us up yet, and I don't think they will. About why didn't you run some shows? Like why didn't we get these ads out? I guarantee you they'll be fine with it. Another one is factormeals.com/Wolfpack50. Meal planning to the next level. Meal planning is important. It's going to be important for me this week because I've got to play catch up on a lot of things, and I don't want to worry about what meal I'm going to eat when I get home for breakfast, before I podcast, or for lunch. So really thankful to have a whole refrigerator full of Factor meals that I can microwave and have protein heavy meals at my disposal. So please head over to factormeals.com/Wolfpack50 and get you start meal planning today. Let me hit the chats really quick. I think this is going to be a shorter show, guys. I do apologize. Yeah, I see some USA. I feel like a very like 9/11, post 9/11, post 9/11 patriotism there. So yeah, I think just all the people helping people. The government's not coming to save you. Don't sleep on these non-government organizations because they are coming to save you. So if you want to really donate money to somebody, I will say, let me tell you the people I saw busting their ass. Mercury One Charity donated all the fuel, paid for all the landing strips and everything that went into air assets, kept birds in the air. Mercury One Charity, huge shout out. All the special operation veterans were organized through the non-government organizations that I just mentioned, Save Our Allies, and the one that I was attached to. What was it? Dead Leg?
Sentinel Foundation.
I'm sorry, Sentinel Foundation. Yeah, Sentinel Foundation is the one that organized long term. I mean, they basically took Robin Sage and implemented it in Banner Elk, North Carolina, as a civilian use to a T, by the book, textbook. and sustainability. I heard the word sustainability. How do we sustain these operations? How do we get our medics to sustain care now? We can't just deliver the meds and then back out. We can't just get them insulin once and be done. We're not here for clout. We're not here to get our pictures taken and bail. And so they began to set up these schedules, right? And shifts. You're going to be here for 4 days. You're going to get relieved by this guy to sustain these operations through Christmas. Wow. Jeez. Not for social media clout. Not for 1 day. Not for 2 days. Not to give myself a pat on the back. I showed up and helped. No, these guys are thinking completely selfless, driven by nothing but true grit and patriotism, sustainability. One guy told me last night in tears, a Delta Force, a Green Beret that went Delta, this Green Beret, I knew him as a Green Beret. And then he went on. I served in 20th Special Forces Group with him, and I went to selection with them, and so I think he is like in Delta Force now or whatever, but he works for Sentinel. He's an NGO. Not exactly sure. It wasn't about that this week. It wasn't about like, what do you do or what did you do in the military? It wasn't about that at all. Nobody cared. It was like, what is your specialty? And let's use it. But this guy, he came to me, and I knew him from a long time ago, and I've known him over the years. Barely talked to him, though. I haven't really talked to him in probably 5 or 10 years. And he said, he hugged me before I left. And then he said, man, I know you don't see me as a spiritual person at all, but this whole thing has made me a very spiritual man. And he says, I feel a deeper calling to serve my fellow man than I've ever felt in my life. He says, if I could just knock on another door, talk to another person, hold and hug another human being, get them oatmeal or cereal or teddy bears or whatever it is, that's all I want to do. And he says, I never felt that way before, but I feel this overwhelming spiritual call to serve. And these men weren't doing the sexy stuff. The Delta Force guys were running the ops. They were running the computers. They were telling people to go here. You guys, search and rescue guys, over here. Search and recovery over here. Hey, medics, my community teams, over here. Guys that are managing the volunteers, over here. Guys like Tansey and other firefighters that have skills that they can use that aren't necessarily in the leadership positions. You guys go out here and do this. You guys are on the recovery teams. Hey, firefighter, chainsaw guy, you're really good with a chainsaw. Go with the chainsaw guys. So they wanted to, the Delta Force guys, the Green Berets, they wanted to be the guys on the ground, but they knew that this wasn't for clout. This wasn't for being sexy, that this was helping their fellow man, and that they were best suited to do command and control and to take control and to look at the bigger picture and to map this thing out and grid it out. And they did it to a T. They had satellite radio set up. Again, think these JTACs wanted to be supporting by standing on a runway directing traffic all day? No, but they fucking did it. Without having to be asked, without having to be told. And I just think that is what special operations guys are at the end of the day. It's not about, putting on the fancy helmet and the fancy clothes. None of that. You didn't see any of that. They didn't care what you thought of them or that you knew that they were military of any sort or any kind. They had a mission and they completed that mission. And to me, it was the greatest war story ever told. And I've never seen anything like it. And I don't think I'll ever see anything like it again. And the devastation and the destruction I've also will never see, I don't think, ever again. Somebody asked about Florida. Florida floods and that's bad, and then people die. These people in the mountains, one, were not prepared, had no idea it was coming. Mudslides took out $1 million homes in groups. They also took out trailers. They also took out regular homes. You have hundreds of miles from Kentucky to Tennessee, all through Appalachia, just so much destruction and chaos, large trees, places of mud that's up to 15, 20 feet of mud that has to be dug through. People still are just completely, they'll be without power until Thanksgiving at best. And you think about all the sewage backups, think about all the bridges that have to be repaired, all the stuff that has to be out. I mean, you can fly down and there's hundreds of cars in the water. All the gas is leaking out of those cars. All the oil is leaking out of those cars. Big giant tanks that you have no idea what the fuck is in them are in the creeks. Whole houses. We were trying to get a body out from underneath the trailer, and all these men get up underneath this whole trailer, like a whole camper, like a motorhome camper. And these guys would get on the side of it, and everybody just starts to picking it up. And the shit from the what do you call it? The toilet, the toilet area, the septic tank of the thing, just busted open. It's just leaking all over everybody's feet as they're trying to hold this thing up and do recovery efforts from underneath it and clear stuff out. And again, nobody's complaining, nobody's whining, nobody's trying to get out of it or get away from it. So, there's a lot of stuff that's going to have to be cleaned up over a lot of time. I don't know what the media's put out because I haven't been on the interwebs a lot. Just got home super late last night, and I just want to spend some time with my family and hold them and hug them. There were times on this in those 2 weeks that all I could think about were my kids and trying to find this 13-year-old boy who's missing, and the only survivor in the family is the aunt of the 13-year-old boy, and he was swept away with the family, and we found a picture of the boy in the wreckage. We didn't find, well, I don't know if we found him or not, but you can't exactly identify bodies out there in the field, or get with teams, and try to see which bodies they found. You can't just like walk around and match a picture to that's not how it works out there. But I found his picture and I was able to give it back to the aunt, and actually, caveat, I didn't find the picture. The guy next to me, Michael, found the picture, but we all held it and took pictures of it, and we all took it back to the aunt, and that was very special. But when I look at a 13-year-old boy and I know that he was swept away in a trailer, I want to come home and hug my own kids so bad, so bad. But wow, guys, please support your NGOs. Please support these non-government organizations, and if you want to get involved with Sentinel Foundation or Save Our Allies or Mercury One, I'm sure there are ways to do that. I don't know how it's done. I know that if you show up at the Banner Elk Airfield and you ask them for something to do, 100% they will have you something to do, and they will have you somewhere to sleep, and they will have you food for yourself and water. So just show up. You don't have to have any. You don't need a chainsaw. You don't need to pack your car full of shit. Bring a pillow. Shit, they'll have a pillow. We'll get you a pillow and a sleeping bag. All you got to do is show up. They'll put you to work. If you so feel that that's something that you need to do or want to do, these operations are going to be headed out through Thanksgiving. Keep all of the people in Western North Carolina. As the media lets this go, just know that it is not over. It's not over, that these people need sustainable care, and they need people to worry about them, and they need people to pray for them through the holidays. This is going to be a dark holiday for hundreds and hundreds of Americans. And here's what I want to leave the note on, and this is the craziest thing. These people all feel abandoned by the government. Not one person said the government's doing a great job out here. Not one person. We heard people that said, I was a Kamala fan. I'm not making this political. I am making it political because it's true. But there were people who were like, what's going on? What are you guys talking about? What is Kamala Harris's problem? Are you like, not one person had a positive thing to say about FEMA. I didn't see them. I never saw them. I never saw FEMA except that one time last week guarding, which now I know is a mining area. That's why they were there in full kit. That is a mine out there that they're mining stuff. And I guess they were inspecting the security of the mine. I don't know. You have to get to a neighborhood to get back there. That's the only time I saw FEMA wearing law enforcement attire, by the way, and they have no law enforcement capabilities. They cannot enforce crimes. So why does FEMA wear law enforcement style uniforms? That makes no sense to me. I'd also like to make a point that I don't think, I think that somehow, and maybe we can get this word out, or if anybody wants to put me in contact, but I think that, as we talk about restructuring and things like that, what we learned from this, right? Like Uvalde happened, and we learned that you have to have battering rams. If you're on a SWAT guy, if you're emergency management guy, and you listen to the show, if you're a first responder, if you know of one of these, send them this clip or send them this timestamp. Let's mark it 44 minutes in. If you're anybody that has some pool, I really do feel like it would be beneficial if we came up with a color for search and recovery. I get it. Rescue needs to be red. That's great. But also search and rescue and recovery needs to have a color, and it needs to be a fluorescent neon color. I don't know why government agencies, I'm not faulting you. I don't think it's anything we ever thought about, but everybody like in park services there, why are we wearing camouflage? Like, why are we wearing olive drabs, grays, and black clothes? And we look law enforcement-y-ish when we're going out to rescue, save, and serve. I think that if people could see you coming in fluorescent colors, it's more welcoming to be like, oh, thank God, instead of everybody looking like they're part of a goddamn militia. I'm guilty. I didn't think about it until I was there. Until I'm walking up the driveway and people are like, who the fuck are you? You got a gun on your hip. You're wearing, olive drab clothing. Like, are you looting? Or are you like, I think we need to have a color that's search and recovery and search and rescue that's not forestry colored, because that's intimidating and doesn't feel very welcoming. I think we need to have like bright orange or bright yellow. I remember like the all white people, the people that wore like the white helmets and the all white crew that went like maybe something like that, but it hasn't been bastardized by the fucking governments or bureaucracy. But maybe we collectively, as civilians and volunteers, like we come up with a color that's search and recovery that isn't olive drab. That's just one thing I pointed out. I think if I, empathetically looking at it, it's a lot more welcoming to see somebody in high vis walking up your driveway in a crisis like this where you're kind of on edge. There's a lot of looters. So that's the one takeaway I came from this after action review. But something that's that makes you go, oh, thank God they're here. Not like, oh, are they here or am I about to get fucking robbed by a militia or something? And by the way, there were militias out there. None of them were militias. They were all doing the Lord's work. Hell, fuck. Some of them I fucking want to join, maybe. Some of them I'm like, damn, I kind of like y'all style. Funny story. There were some crackhead looters on a dirt bike, and the whole, like, everybody we talked to, they're like, hey, there's these guys on the dirt bike, and they're just going house to house, and they're just walking through them and then walking back out. Anytime somebody tries to talk to them, they are like very threatening, and they had guns on them and everything. And one of us made the joke. It's like, we could make them drown themselves, and then we could be like, yo, look, we found a body. Yay. You know what I mean? So we could kind of like knock out two birds with one stone. Like, obviously it was a joke, dark joke in the moment, but those are the kind of guys I'd like to affiliate myself with, because I do honestly think that those fucking losers who are just walking through houses, stealing guns, they actually, one neighbor said that they stole their 3 rifles. And I think I heard another neighbor says that they're just looking for prescription pills and all this other stuff. But honestly, I would not mind if they disappeared. And I don't think anybody up there would necessarily give a shit if they disappeared either. So that's my personal take on it. Obviously, I answer to God. So, what does he say? What does he say? Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. So vengeance is mine, says the Lord. So, but anyway, those are thoughts from a man who hasn't slept in a couple of days. But I'll leave it up to you guys. We got like 10 more minutes if anybody has any questions. Nico the Greco says, my buddy Jeremiah, who's originally from near Asheville, has been out there a couple of times. He said he saw ATF and a bunch of the government organizations. Yeah, okay, so maybe like in Asheville proper, there's a lot of government entities working around in Asheville, obviously high visibility area, but not out in these towns that are completely ravaged and have seen absolutely no one, like places like the other side of this bridge. Like, why isn't everybody putting all of their assets in to clearing this fucking bridge and getting over there? Why is it all got to be civilians? Like, why isn't the National Guard with all their badass fucking armored vehicles and bridges and all the stuff all the stuff you see in the commercials, why isn't that shit being put out here? Why isn't that fucking bridge that you see in the recruiting video that it's like, there's no river too wide, a little transformer bridge falls out, no water too deep, special ops team coming out? Like, where was all that from the National Guard? Where was it? I didn't see it. I'm just saying I didn't see it. Maybe in a high visibility area where the media was at, maybe that's where it was at, but it wasn't anywhere else. So there we go. Let me see. Let me go back out to some of these comments. Bosco says he's put in 51 hours this week. Yes, dude. All of you guys, thank you so much. Sentinel Foundation, God bless you all for the coverage. Sincere love and assistance from a fellow American. Just Rhonda. No, thanks, Rhonda, for tuning in. Nico the Greek. I already read that one, Nico. Appreciate you. Just Rhonda says, break green. I feel like green represents free and helpful recognition. I think neon green is very welcoming. Yes. Yeah. I think that's great. Anything that's bright, because you're here to recover or rescue or search. You should have a humanitarian look to you. J&M Exterior Cleaning Solutions, thank you for sharing your experience in serving out in WNC. Big shout out to to everyone that's donating, and massive truckloads, and just all the small businesses that do. Again, the government's not coming from you, man. It's small businesses, Boy Scouts, churches, so many fucking churches. You know who else I didn't see? Let's go there. Let's do it. I didn't see any purple-haired fucking, you know the look. You know the type with the nose rings and the fucking purple hair and the dark. I didn't see any of them doing the Lord's work out there. Just saying. It wasn't them. It was the bearded out toxic white males. It was the female tomboys. It was the church ladies. It was the conservative looking women. I didn't see any of the you know the look I'm talking about. I don't have to explain it to you. You guys aren't idiots. I don't have to be like one of those school teachers that breaks it down cookie monster to grown ass adults. Lumber Chef says, here's a question. Is this the same response during Katrina and Matthews, or with phones and social media so prevalent it's reported more? I know that the special operations team that I was a part of during Katrina, when Katrina's 20th Special Forces Group deployed, they were deployed to Katrina. I don't think any of the guys I was working with were deployed or on orders. I asked every one of them, are you guys on orders? Nope. Matter of fact, I had a question with one guy who straight up told me, he was like, I'm here with this kind of equipment. I was like, well, it's that the government's equipment? Says it may or may not be. Obviously, it's not his equipment. And he's like, better to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. These are dudes that are leaving it all on the line and showing up. There was another group of dudes from Bragg that said, we said, fuck it. We're not waiting. I'll take 2-week leave. And we headed out here. So these guys are using up their vacation time to come out there and put in work. Pretty badass, if you ask me. Blue and white UN letters can get fucked, David J. Yeah, maybe similar to the bridge that we used to get into Baghdad. Sure, that would be great. Rhonda says, Christianity, love of every human life, is the only way we, the current victims, can find a way back. It starts with Christians speaking up loud and clear, and the rest will follow. A lot of churches, man. Lot of churches. Samaritan's Purse, man. Didn't really know what Samaritan's Purse did, anything like that. And I've learned a lot about them. Became a big fan of them this week. I mean, they had teams almost immediately everywhere. Everywhere we saw Samaritan's Purse, RVs, donation sites. Gosh, man, just general contractors, people who own lawn care services. I mean, all these people driving up from South Carolina, Ohio. Some kid flew in from California last night and showed up to help and was like, this is my background. I'm a paramedic, EMT, and I heard that you guys were doing the Lord's work out here. I got a flight. I'm here. What can I do for you? Local cops doing shit, working way over and beyond their call of duty. So, man, it's awesome, dude. It's been the best. It's been the worst and best 2 weeks of my life. I have a new respect for humanity. Doing all this news, it's pretty doom and gloom, right? We feel like the pressure is really being put on us. Let me speak frankly. The pressure feels like it's being put on, like something crazy is building up. Everybody could feel it. They don't know what it is. They don't know if it's a government or anything. But I'll tell you this. You know what I know now? That all the Green Beret guys, all the Navy SEALs, all the Coast Guard diver, all the best of the combat controllers. Every conversation I heard fuck the government more in the last 2 weeks from guys like that than I've heard my entire life. And so I don't really care what the government tries to do next, because those are the guys that are on we the people's side. And I feel just fine. I feel great. You want to take the power grid down? Go ahead. Go ahead. These dudes are fucking ready for that. They will step up. You want to try to put out some martial law? Go ahead. I saw way more dudes rogue that just went rogue. I heard all the, a lot of talk about like, fuck the vaccine. I can't believe we all fell for that shit. Like, I mean, there was a lot of politics being thrown around, while we were in the shit. Everybody, like I said, the one thing that everybody, even the civilians, were very anti-government this week, but they were very pro-American, baby. They were pro-patriot. And that to me was incredible. Let's go. Lindsay Brinkerhoff says, Eric and Shane, can Shane and I cook for anyone? Oh my God. Can you cook for anyone? Cook for whoever the fuck you want to cook for. Yeah, man, dude, you want to show up to Banner Elk Airfield and start cooking for those guys? They could use a hot meal, but so could a lot of other people. But you could show up. Oh my gosh. I'll tell you, one of the really bad places is there's a lot of really forgotten small towns too. Like I don't want to forget about Clyde and places like that, out towards Asheville, Black Mountain, things like that. But there's also some towns like Spruce Pine. Nobody's heard of Spruce Pine until now. And you go on down Spear, North Carolina. Never heard of Spear, North Carolina. That's where I was at the last 2 days. Absolutely wiped off the map. And they could, anything, man. Like it's hundreds of miles. Yes, you can go cook for anybody that you want to. Man, I mean, even it's like throwing starfish, right? Remember that story where the guy takes a starfish and he throws it out, and the other guy comes up and he's like, why are you throwing these starfish back in the water? You can't save them all. And the kid's like, yeah, but I can save this one. You could literally just go drive into the thick shit, find a house, knock on the door and say, can I cook for you tonight? Or can I give you this hot meal? Or can I barbecue for you right here in your front yard? And I mean, the emotional support that you can bring people. Oh, by the way, I wanted to say this story. I forgot. I did run into some agents, some SBI agents. And they were laughing and giggling while we were looking for bodies. And their shirts and ties, not shirts and ties, but their collar tucked in shirts that says agent with their shiny badge and their fucking pistols. And I walk up, are you guys helping us find? And when they look at me like, who the fuck are you, peasant? Who are you? Yeah, they did. They looked at me like that. They looked at me like, and I was like, hey man, we're trying to find this Ukrainian family. They did that with their eyes. I said, are you guys here to help with that? Or like, and she's like, did y'all check in with any command centers? Where is there a command center here? Because I've been everywhere in this town. I haven't seen a command center, or hasn't been advertised that there is one. Well, yeah, it's right up there, the sheriff's department. I was like, oh, okay. Well, we've been working this for 2 days, and we literally have everybody with us. We have like this town's fire department with us. We have this town's search and rescue team with us. We have this town's, everybody, volunteers from the town. Like we're all looking for this person. Nobody's mentioned a command and control center. But is there anywhere you guys have searched, or do you guys have dog coming? No, we actually just came here to visit one of our friends. I fucking swear to you, that's what she said. And then I went to this other guy who looked like he was in charge, and I was like, what about you? And he's like, oh, we're just here for mental wellness checks for federal agents and first responders. What? These made up fucking jobs ran by cowards like that. The fact that you can fucking stand up there with your shiny fucking badge and your little shirt that says agent, and you can laugh and goof around while people are below you 30 feet away looking for bodies, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go home and fuck yourself with a broom handle. You fucking cowards hiding behind these made up bullshit jobs. LGBTQ liaison, mental wellness checkup guy. Shut the fuck up and get to fucking work and stop hiding behind a badge, you fucking losers. That's how I felt. I didn't say that, but that's what I thought about saying. You know what I mean? The government's not coming to save you. Your fellow neighbor. You know that movie Civil War? I'm going to go back and watch it. Because it was written by the Obamas, directed, produced by the Obamas, and it was very fucking scary. It's not true. That movie's not true. And it needs to be rewritten, because you know what's going to happen when that EMP goes off? Because I saw it. Is Amanda Hayes, Bosco Autry, David J., Lumber Chef. You guys are going to go to your neighbor and you're going to create a fucking team, man. And you guys are going to fucking go out And you're going to do what every single civilian that I found was that said, I don't want to be greedy, but could I get some cat food for my cat? They don't have water. They don't have fucking food. They don't have heat. But can I get some cat food? I don't want to be greedy, you know. No, I'm doing just fine. I'm okay. You're not okay. You don't have any fucking food up here. What are you talking about, Droga? You look like you died yesterday, too. Like, why don't you get in our car? We'll take you into one of these nicer towns for the day, for the afternoon. Because there's a lot of towns that are great. They're fine out there. It's not like the whole planet's wiped out there. But how cool would it be to just pick one of these fuckers up and just take them to a Mexican restaurant real quick and let them see that there is a reality outside of the carnage? Because I didn't realize it until last night. You don't really notice it. You get so lost in the suck that you forget that 5 miles up the road, life is back to normal. These people haven't made it 5 miles. They're not able to make it 5 miles. All they see is right here. Maybe that's something we can work. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that Civil War, that movie's not fucking true. That movie scared the shit out of me. I'm no longer scared of that movie. Doesn't bother me a bit because it's not true. The American spirit is not dead. I know the government would like to make you think it's dead. American spirit's not dead, guys. It is very much alive. And if you want to see it for yourself, go down to Western North Carolina, not with your fucking cameras, but with some fucking canned goods and a goddamn rake, and go see the American spirit for yourself. I promise it'll change your life forever. And you will be a better person for it. And maybe not even, you don't have to go to Western North Carolina. You don't. There's homeless people in your own town. There's people in trailers, and nobody's really gone up to that trailer and ever talked to them, ever. Ever in their whole life. They have this shitty trailer you drive by and you go, how do people live like that? Go knock on their door. Ask them if they need anything. Tell them you want to do something nice for them. Say, I drive by here all the time, man. What's the deal? What's the, I don't know. Maybe that's not a good idea. Might get hurt. I don't know. What I'm saying is you don't have to go all the way to Western North Carolina. I'm exhausted. I'm super tired. Can't wait to go take a nap. I wanted to come home. I wanted to get this information out to you guys. I wanted to try to build some of your spirits and give some hope to you guys. I love all of you. Thank you for tuning into whatever this garbage is that I just did for the last hour. I apologize for not being prepared, and I apologize for not being able to podcast. But the fact that you guys are still here in the live chats and you guys are still here, if you could do me a favor, man, subscribe to the channel, support the channel so that we can continue to support other people as well. Check out my new YouTube channel. It's new to Failure to Stop. It's called Fox, Fawkes, where I will be doing short 10 to 15 minute news segments every week. And I really want to watch that grow because journalism is really my new passion. And I want to tell these stories, but I want to tell them the way that I tell them without the hyperbolicness or without the superficialness or I want to do it my way. And I want to do it, in the way that I think is reverent and honorable. I want to do it in an honorable way. And that way doesn't really get you the clicks and the shares you need to grow. So it just takes people who believe in the cause and who want to, be a part of something bigger than themselves. I feel like the whole network that we're on with Anti-Hero, Two Cops, One Donut, Donut Shop, New York's Finest Unfiltered, getting a grip on things. I think that all of these things, it's bigger than all of us. I continue to grow this. And I want to thank all of you for the kindest of messages that you've sent. Cash apps that you guys have sent, the Venmos that you have sent, every single dollar of that has gone back. Even Sal, remember when we had Sal's parents on and you guys donated? I got up with him this week and he was like, yo, the money that the Wolfpack donated to give to me and my family for this legal stuff, use it for the hurricanes. What? Sal, no, that's not happening. We're sending you the $300 that we raised for you. That shit's coming like tomorrow. I've been gone since the 1st, so I haven't done any financing stuff, pushing stuff out because I've been gone. But that shit's coming, dude. And that's what I'm talking about. Every fucking buddy we ran into wants to give to the next guy. That's why that movie Civil War is not real, because everybody wants to do the next thing for the next guy, and everybody is going to take care of those fucking looters. When the shit really hits the fan, the fucking bad guys are going to be way on our Civil War makes it look like that those guys are the badasses. Nah, they're fucking not. Bosco Archer will bury them in the hills, right there along with Lumber Chef. So I have a new respect for Americans and for America in general, and I am no longer worried about what the government plans to do next. Could give a fuck less. I don't care. Trump doesn't make it because he's probably not going to make it as the president because the government's not going to let him. I don't even care. I'm not even worried about it because I saw when the shit hits the fan, I know what Americans are going to do. I really do know what the Americans are going to do. We just haven't done it yet. We haven't had the opportunity. We've all just been patient, right? Like, you want us to do these like stupid petty things. Okay, we're going to argue. We're going to whine a little bit, but you haven't really crossed the threshold yet. And then when this hurricane happened, though, that was a threshold. That was like, there ain't no coming back. Like, we're going, baby. And that's what it's going to be like when the shit hits the fan. So if you're a government boy and you fall into this podcast because I've said fuck the government too many times, just know that you are never going to beat we the people. You're just not going to beat us. There's no fucking way on the earth that you are going to beat us. You're going to try, you're going to try to do all that rich elite bullshit, your little New World Order bullshit, your globalist agenda. You're going to try to do it all. At the end of the day, we are going to fuck you right up the ass with a broom handle. From everybody here at the Failure Stop podcast channel, guns up, giddy up.